Arizona State won the toss. They elected to defer. And it will be the Bearcats and this high-powered offense to start the festivities.
Bearcats will take over first and 10. The opening drive will begin.
If there was an MVP over the first half of the season, it would be the transfer from Indiana for the Cincinnati team. Brendan Sorsby has been everything Scott Satterfield was hoping to find in the portal. You see the numbers, 13 touchdowns. Twice he's been the Big 12 newcomer of the week. Overcame a really tough first half last week on the road in Orlando to get things turned around, and a solid second half as they picked up the win. Expect a steady dose of Corey Kiner on first down, and he is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Great penetration that time. A loss of a yard, Miles Rouser.
And this is just a stretch play, trying to test this ASU defense on its edges, trying to run to the edge, but a great job by the defensive line and, of course, Rouser to finish it off and give them a loss.
So many improvements for both these teams from a year ago, and you look at this Arizona State defense, they have been salty on first and second down. Four-man rush toward the sideline, minimal gain. Xavier Henderson with the catch, and this will set up a third down.
Just a nice quick out, but Rouser back-to-back tackles here, really defending the force on the edge and trying to push the issue. And this is something that Coach Satterfield talked about. Didn't want to give this team third and long because this Arizona defense is very stout, and they come out with all the crazy trickery on these type of downs to bring pressure.
One of the best teams on third down, the Bearcats. Sorsby with time, zips it too tall, incomplete. Looking for Tony Johnson.
And that ball had a little bit of zing on it, and Xavier Alford was just a tick behind. He almost caught that and picked that off. But this is the pressure we're talking about. On that previous play, it was a 4-2, what we call wide open. So the defensive linemen back up wide, both your inside backers walk up on either side of the center, and you have to make a decision where you're going to pick up the blitz or not. That time they drop into zone coverage, but that's the trickery we're talking about with ASU on third and long situations.
3 zones away, and this defense dials up a 3-and-out. The All-American Mason Fletcher with the line drive punt. Elquan Stovall with the fair catch. And Arizona State with their first offensive series, and it will be Jeff Sims. Sam Levitt was ruled out on Wednesday, so they turn to the transfer Sims, who has played a lot of college football. 23 starts in his time on the flats at Georgia Tech. He started the first 2 games last year at Nebraska before making the transfer.
And one of the big numbers to watch, that 1,372 rushing yards. I expect that to be a nice little combination with some short, quick, easy routes to get him comfortable in this offense since he has not played in such a time.
On first down, they will give it to one of the nation's best running backs in Cam Skattebo. Skattebo falls ahead for 3. Jack Dingle in on the stop.
Great vision by Skattebo, and almost too patient at times, but right there, an outside toss zone. He reads it, makes the single cut back to get positive yards, because once again, if you're getting 4 yards, you're staying on schedule.
Skattebo second in the Big 12, averaging 128 yards on the ground. He's also a weapon in the air. Makes the catch, the stiff arm, and on the plus territory. The Sun Devils able to hit their all-purpose back, driven out by Antoine Peak.
And I love this. This is when you're trying to get Jeff Sims comfortable with this. Easy short routes right there, a swing route out to the left, action showing to the right, and just swing it out to Skattebo, who he can scat. He can scat. You wouldn't think when you look at him, he looks like a thick, big guy, but he is very quick on the edge.
He can do it all. He can scat, he can rumble, and he can run right over the top of you. Kyson Brown gets the carry here. Brown over that right side, and when you talked to Arizona State yesterday, these first quarter carries to make sure Cam stays fresh for that second half.
Yeah, you don't want to get overly involved with giving him the ball. You want to, Marcus Arroyo said, you have to fight the urge to give him the ball 40 times in the first half because he's just that good and that dynamic. Third in the country with his all-purpose yards.
Good looking drive for the Sun Devils here on the road. On second down, they will give it right back to Brown, and he has the corner. Kyson Brown to the 10, to the 5, pushed out of bounds, and it will be 1st and goal.
Beautiful blocking on the edge. You got to love when fat guys get the job done. Look at a nice little pull route on the side by Maxi Hanachor that really seals the edge, allows Kyson Brown to get to the sideline, and then the burst down the sidelines to get into the red zone. This has been a very good drive. It's been very methodical by Arizona State. This is the start you want in an opposing stadium.
I'm going to say Brown stepped out at the 8. Sophomore out of Lancaster, Texas. The pipeline to Texas has been opened up for Arizona State when they hired Brian Carrington as one of the assistants. Some confusion for the Sun Devils, and you saw Kenny Dillingham all the way out on the field trying to get the officials' attention for the timeout.
Yeah.
So a good start for Arizona State. They'll use an early timeout. They'll have it 1st and goal when we come back.
It's okay. You're safe here. Come on.
Giving.
The youngest coach among the Power 4 conferences, Kenny Dillingham, year number 2, and what a job he has done in Tempe with this program, believing a 5-1 start. Their only blemish on the road in Lubbock with Texas Tech.
Yeah, a great start for ASU, and you think about just a year ago, 3-9 to finish the season, the turmoil that led to the hiring, and things starting to look like it's getting back to a place of stasis. Of course, a lot of new transfers coming in this season. We'll get on that later, but just a different vibe in Tempe and around the Valley area.
They hired one of their own, grew up in the Valley, Sun Devil fan his entire life, and now one of the great comeback stories. This is what Sins can do, that big body lumbering over the right side. He's cut down at the 2.
Quarterback counter. Gotta love it. Gotta love. I mean, this football just warms my heart when you allow for the big boys to get out there. It's a nice inside zone play that he could stretch, has a lead blocker there, and just bowls his way forward. That was the number I was saying that's going to be indicative today, that rushing yards, how you mix in the quarterback run, because he is so effective coming from Georgia Tech.
They'll bunch up the formation. Sims under center, Scattaboo behind him. 2nd down and goal. They pitch it left side. Scattaboo makes one miss, tap dances the final few steps. Touchdown, Arizona State.
Scattaboo with the skip to my Lou on that one. What a tremendous job. Great job by the blocking. This is actually one of my favorite plays. It's called bunch left, toss 39 truck is what I called it in the league. It's an outside toss. The left tackle gets out there. Josh Atkins does a great job sealing the edge, and Scattaboo makes one guy miss. That's always the job of the running back. I'm going to give you one guy. Give you the safety. That's yours. He hurdles that guy into the end zone. Nice opening drive for ASU.
And he has made a lot of guys miss this year. The yards after contact, and how about the start by Arizona State? 5 plays, 66 yards, little more than 3 minutes off the clock, and the Sun Devils picking up where they left off at home last Friday night. A program statement win against Utah, and guess who was excited? Mr. Kenny Dillingham.
Well,
You grew up in this town. You're an alum. When you look around and you see this moment, what's it like for you?
It's kind of crazy. I was one of these guys. I was doing this.
We lost him. We were glad to see that he made the trip here, and we had a chance to talk with him about it. The energy, that 30-second clip went viral, and he kind of said he was embarrassed by it because he was actually trying to go find some players to get interviewed, and they caught him.
well, tell me you're the youngest coach at Power 4 without telling me you're the youngest coach at the Power 4. He's in the middle of the student section scrum. I'm sure most of those kids probably want to play for him after that game last week.
How are they getting it done? They've nearly doubled their point production. They've cut their turnovers down. This offensive line has been stable from the opening week. And a 7-0 lead here on the road at Cincinnati as the Bearcats get ready for their second offensive series.
This is what we kind of expect. You're going to see a team in ASU that's going to be tenacious. They're going to be fast off the bus. And this is something we were worried about that, right? Time zone difference, kids waking up at 5 a.m. And they've acquitted themselves well in these first two series, first series offense and first series defense.
Just the 2 yards mustered on their opening series for Sorsby in this offense. Kiner on first down, spins away from the pile. And Kiner gets 3 as we check in with Shane.
Arizona State making a long trip, 3,000 miles. You guys talked about the time zone, traveling 3 time zones. They came in on Thursday because of this noon Eastern kickoff. They began to really get their bodies ready this past Tuesday, but they have been phenomenal. There is no sign of fatigue. A lot of happy Sun Devil fans enjoying some pancakes and eggs as they watch their Sun Devils back in Tempe.
Yeah, Shane, the alarms were ringing bright and early this morning on that slant. It's a bullet caught by Jamoy Mays up ahead in the Bearcats with their first down. Alford and Abney the coverage.
And great vision by Brendan Sorsby. He sees the blitz off the slot. Hainsby comes in and makes a perfect catch in that moment. You've got to fill where they blitz. That's the gaps, that's the hot read, and just zings it in there for a nice first down play for the Bearcats.
First-year transfer for Mays, who's having a good season. Transferred him from Chattanooga, coming off a 1,000-yard season a year ago. From the 45, they will try to stretch it wide, and getting tripped up at the 48, a gain of 3. This is a young man, when you look at Barry Jackson Jr., that they are trying to implement gradually into this offense. He is a playmaker when he touches the ball.
And that's the thing, when you have an X-factor type of guy, although he is young, a redshirt freshman, he's a guy that's dynamic. So you give him a little end around, try and see if he can peek his way through the defense.
Johnson and Henderson split to the bottom. Mays to the top of the screen, 2nd down and 7. Play fake by Sorsby, floats right, now settles near side, and it's knocked away. Reaching around was Javen Robinson, the redshirt sophomore out of Winter Garden, Florida.
And Jamoy Hayes running the shallow drag across the way, had Javen Robinson in his hip pocket and makes a great play right at the last second. That's something that normally DBs, they get a little bit handsy or they try and undercut it. Javen Robinson was patient, waited for the ball to get near the hands, then swatted it down.
Robinson, one of those players that followed his old DC, Brian Ward from Pullman. Washington State transferred, adjusting very quickly. 3rd down and 7, deep ball, 50-50 shot, and it is intercepted. They were looking for Henderson, picked off by Keith Abney.
This was a great play, tight coverage. Abney was right in front of Jamoy Hayes. He tracked the ball the entire way and then just made a great play on the ball. This is what we talk about with that Arizona State defense. And 3rd down, something changes when it's 3rd and long. 3rd and medium, they're okay, and 3rd and short, they're okay, but they're dynamic and dominant.
A defense that had 3 takeaways in the upset win against Utah. They have number 1 this afternoon. Abney the pick. All Sun Devils early.
For testimonials.
Check out Mahomes' top 3 plays of the day.
Good evening. Tonight we have the pride of West Africa. People won Jollof.
Following the interception, Arizona State from the 16. Scadaboo. Again, that first wave can't bring him down. He lost the ball. It's still rolling free. And it's Cincinnati who comes away with it.
Wow, what a turn of events. You just get a big turnover as ASU's defense, and then the very first play, Cam Scadaboo, the sure-handed running back, running behind his big offensive line. Nice, patient, keeps contact balance, but just a perfect punch out by Antoine Peak Jr. at the right moment, coughed the ball up. Now Cincinnati is doing business inside the red zone here. So what looked like to be a bad offensive series now is a second glimmer of hope for this team to try and get back to get all even with the Arizona State Sun Devils.
How about the 2-week stretch by the walk-on who earned a scholarship, Antoine Peak? He caused a couple of fumbles last week. He gets his hands in on Scadaboo, and now each team equal in the turnover department. Little misdirection. Evan Pryor has big Luke Kandra out in front. That's a big body you want to follow around the outside. 8 yards for the Ohio State transfer.
And Evan Pryor has big home run capability. Luke Kandra, the preseason All-American, out there in open space and just absolutely bullies the defender. And Pryor just sits behind him, patient, and darts through. Nice gain for the Bearcats.
Tough year for Scott Satterfield, his inaugural season here at Cincinnati. But boy, he brought in a whole new wave of players, and he talked about how much fun he is having with this team. Second down, they'll run that option look. Brendan Sorsby is in for the touchdown.
If you think Jeff Sims can run, so can this young man, Brendan Sorsby. And a great job. Triple option look. A lot to defend if you haven't gone against it regularly as a defense, because you need one guy for the dive. You need another guy for the pitch. And then sometimes you forget about the guy holding the ball, which is the quarterback. And right there, Brendan Sorsby makes a great decision to keep it as he saw the pitch guy go wide and just cut it up on the inside and then powered his way from the 5-yard line all the way into the end zone for the Bearcat score.
The strip by Peak set it all up. It takes just a couple of plays. Nathan Hawks with the point after. Complimentary football there for the Bearcats. Turnover leading to points.
And it is great. You see the motion, the dive guy underneath, the pitch guy sitting wide, puts the safety in a quandary. And you're never right. If you're Shamari Simmons, you're never right in this situation, because if you go inside, there's nobody for the outside. Then Brendan Sorsby knows that, so he keeps it, gives a little juke to the outside, one cut back to the inside, touchdown Bearcats.
So Satterfield and his Bearcats taking one on the chin in the first stages of this opening quarter, but it's the defense that gets the takeaway right back. And then Sorsby showing the other part that has Cincinnati fans so excited, his ability to run and then the toughness to get those final few yards to get across the goal line.
And that's something, you know, when you look at last week, that UCF game, right, had 2 interceptions in that first half. Not the best half of him. And of course, I'm sure in your mind, that's probably kicking back in your head. Oh man, remember last week? Geez, why did I throw that? And then kind of a little bit of accountability there. Like, you know what, I have the opportunity, I'm gonna take it, put it on my shoulders, I'm gonna make up for that. And he does so. So this is a great, what we're expecting for these teams. We're talking about 2 teams very close in skill level, playing and duking it out.
Last week, Sam Levitt willed his way back into the game against Utah after this jarring hit that he took early on in the second quarter. This is what Levitt has brought to the Sun Devil offense, the athleticism and some of the toughness there, trying to fight for the extra yard or two.
And that's what you want to see, and that's what I think Kenny Dillingham was looking for in a quarterback to come and replace and really change the mood of this team. But took a big shot there right on his right side, came back, tried to power through, but that's about a 2 to 4 week injury normally.
Rib injury, as you mentioned, he's going to be out anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. The Sun Devils have the bye next week. Low throw and a sliding catch is made. That's Jordan Tyson, a gain of 15 up near the 40. And you take a look at what Arizona State's quarterbacks have done. Let's just go back 25 years. Jaden Daniels, I think a lot of people forget his time in the desert. And Levitt's numbers so far, the young 19-year-old has been sensational.
And it has looked good, and I think that guy's pretty good. I think he plays on Sundays in a similar colored uniform, doing similar things that he did at ASU.
From the 40, they will hand the ball off, and this is the first touch of the day for DeCarlos Brooks, and he is snowed under at the line of scrimmage.
And you're trying to figure it out, you run a tackle counter, you pull your right tackle, Maxi Hanachor, but a little late on that. the fill by the Bearcat defense just didn't give the Carlos Brooks really much vision and place to run.
Cincinnati hoping to get healthier today. Jonathan Thompson back for the second straight week. He was in on that last stop. Sims on a play fake flush, chased by the freshman Coleman, and he's forced just to throw it away. Simeon Coleman, the true freshman out of Seat Pleasant, Maryland, with the pursuit.
And a great job just coming off the backside, forcing Jeff Sims to roll out to his right. Great coverage by the Bearcats secondary, nobody to go to, so he throws to the open space once he clears the tackle box.
First third down of this opening quarter, and here comes this crowd inside Nippert. Design draw up the middle, shy of the first down, out past the 45. Eric Phillips, the longtime Bearcat, and the Sun Devils will be forced to punt, possibly. We'll keep an eye on it.
And running the tackle trap again, Atkins pulling around, Sims filling in behind him. But a great job by the defense just swarming in there. And of course, Derek Canteen, one of the many guys that tackled Jeff Sims on that play.
I mentioned the punt, and then I realized it's Arizona State. They will go for it all over the field.
Analytics says go for it.
4th and 3, they swing it out, passes high, Scattaboo the catch, swallowed up immediately. Jake Golday, and the failed 4th down. The gamble backfires for Arizona State.
And Jake Golday, the Big 12 newcomer of the week last week, coming up with a big play there to get the ball on the other side. We talked about the swing route of Scattaboo. We saw it earlier in the first drive, hit it for big success. Golday said, not on my side, and ran that down, beat the receiver at the point of attack, and made the play in the backfield. Watch it, just a nice swing, kind of loses it a little bit, and Cameron Harpole can't hold on to Golday, and therefore makes the play, and great field position for the Bearcats for a second drive in a row in plus territory.
Golday, the transfer from Central Arkansas, really still getting used to playing in space. He was a defensive lineman who moved to linebacker at the FCS level last year. So really just the second true season he's playing in space. Arizona State brings that blitz over the middle. Pass is caught. Good read there by Sorsby, and then bullying ahead as some late contact and a late flag comes in after the fray. Pass good up to the 30-yard line.
There's a mass of bodies, so you're trying to figure out what the penalty could be. Is this a face mask or something different?
Kevin Marr is our referee today. Little join now between both lines of scrimmage.
See what happened. We won't see it. We'll see a great catch by Joe Royer and action happening, and the flag actually came behind what we're seeing here. Evan Tingsdale must have hit somebody in the face. He's playing the left guard right now on this series for the Bearcats. Had a shuffle on the offensive line. He's sitting there at left guard and maybe got a little too friendly with a D lineman.
That'll cost Cincinnati 15 yards. Will get the first down on the completion to Royer. Sorsby will look to stay hot. Over the middle again, it's Royer, who's really developed into a security blanket, leading the Big 12 in receptions from that tight end position.
Yeah, and second in the Big 12 overall, regardless of position, in receptions. And Sorsby does a great job just figuring out where the hole in the zone is. Royer does a nice job of curling right over the middle in between the hashes and just making himself present. Sorsby spots that 11 and puts it right between the numbers.
Joe Royer has found new life since returning back home to Cincinnati. 3 years at Ohio State. He had a combined 4 catches in those 3 years, already 30 receptions this season. Now they run the bag of tricks on the reverse. Johnson put the ball on the turf, took a fortuitous bounce right back into his lap.
And that was actually Prince Dorba penetrating into the hole and just putting a hand out, trying to tackle the first guy before it gets tossed off, and he ends up hitting the ball in the ground. And luckily, Cincinnati's able to ID and key the ball on the ground and jump on top of it so they don't lose possession for a second time.
Dorba is a player that they are really happy he's healthy. He was banged up to start this season, had a great game last week against Utah. This defensive line for the Sun Devils, they have been decimated by injuries, yet they have not missed a beat with the depth that they have developed and recruited. Second down, Kiner. There's no opening. That was Simmons who shot through and made Kiner make an early adjustment.
Yes, Shamari Simmons did a great job of keying on the run and playing that backside will position in this 4-2 nickel defense, meaning there's only 2 linebackers. The third guy is at safety, dropping down, and just does a great job of keying and making the play in the backfield.
Let's see how creative the Sun Devils are, and defensive coordinator Brian Ward. Third down, double digits, 3rd and 12. They need to get it to the 21. 6 up on that line of scrimmage, including the 2 linebackers and Keyshawn Elliott. They'll drop back 2 into coverage. They rush 4, little screen set, and a good job in space by Keith Abney. And a decision now for Cincinnati.
Well, that was a safe play for Cincinnati to call. You want to get a little bit closer, give your place kicker a nice position to where he could possibly make this field goal. And apparently he wanted left hash, so they throw a little screen out to the left, little funnel screen. But a great job by Abney to kind of weave through the traffic. They got 2 wide receivers out there blocking. Plus, they also had some linemen that pulled out to kind of help be a convoy, but a minimal gain. And, of course, ASU stops again on 3rd down.
Hawks with a really strong leg. It just hasn't been accurate all the time. This one, though, plenty of accuracy. He's perfect with it. A 46-yarder for Hawks, and the Bearcats take advantage of the field position. Rejuvenated energy after a tough season here at Clifton.
Well, and you think about the last 2 drives, ending in points after the first drive was stalemated, and to take a lead this early after 2 back-to-back turnovers that happened on both sides of the ball, just a great start for this game.
The kickoff from Hawks went through the end zone for a touchback.
So you look at Jeff Sims and what he has done today. In there for the injured Sam Levitt. Sims 3 of 4. They played it pretty safe as far as the passing game goes. We saw him with the run earlier. Your assessment so far through this first quarter?
I think they're doing it right. They're slowly integrating him into this game. Of course, you know, as we get into this game, you want to see him make more vertical throws, but right now the horizontal's good. He's got those completions. Like I said, the only incompletion was when he was forced out of the pocket to the right and had to get rid of the ball because all his receivers were covered.
From the 25-yard line, he will throw that slant. Plenty of cushion given and a first down up to the 48-yard line. That's Jordan Tyson.
And Jordan Tyson, this leading receiver for ASU, just ISO on the outside to the right. And this is a fake because they're such a proficient run team. The play action works in his favor, and Tyson makes 2 steps and cuts to the inside wide open in the zone coverage for the play for the Sun Devils.
Tyson, the team's top receiver, and he's going to have to step up today with Xavier Guillory injured this week in practice. Scattaboo lowers the boom as he crosses into plus territory as we swing it down to Shane.
Sean, you talked about Jake Goldie in that last defensive stop for Cincinnati from Central Arkansas. They've done a really good job with some of these guys in these small schools. Defensively as well. Cam Rutherford, Arkansas Pine Bluff. Harris Adams from Southeast Missouri State. And on the offensive side, a guy like D'Artagnan Tinsley from Kentucky Christian. They've hit those small schools and they've paid big dividends for the Bearcats.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Shane. In fact, you can make that case for both of these sidelines. Scattaboo started his days at the FCS level. We've seen Dillingham do the same thing, finding that talent at the lower levels.
Yeah, diamonds in the rough. These are what you have to, especially when you're in that middle tier of the Power 4. You can't go after the 5 stars that are thinking about a change from a lot of big schools. You can still get some of those guys, but they're not the accomplished guys. So you go find guys at a lower level looking to elevate their game, and they've done so as we've watched throughout this season.
Gotta believe this is 4-down territory, and this will be Sims on a rollout, gets rid of it, finding the tight end and the former Bearcat. That is Shimon Mateer, but there is a flag down.
Multiple flags, one right as the play started, and then of course one at the end of the play. So 2 different penalties that they have to force their way through.
Illegal shift. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
So wipe out the throw and catch. And another 3rd down for Dillingham's Sun Devils.
And, you know, I'm looking at the illegal shift because they did bring Melquan Stovall over in motion early, and then they motioned him right before the snap. I don't know if somebody else was moving, so maybe that was where they called the illegal shift. But 5-yard penalty, especially after a conversion there to Mateer. So you got to do it again, but you got to do it 5 yards further back.
Neither team has converted on 3rd down. Cincinnati runs a stunt. Sims trying to buy some time, and Jonathan Thompson was with him. He shadowed him the entire way. It's a big loss back to the 39.
And Jonathan Thompson from that Sam linebacker position is running a spy. Great job here. Twist on the inside. That led to the first leak out and forced the pressure. Jordan Thompson just sitting there waiting, watching to see what Jeff Sims is going to do, and just forces him out before he can throw the ball away.
A wild first quarter, and we are off and running here in the Queen City. Homecoming weekend. All the bright patriotic colors, Scattaboo. Place Rashad Samples, who went to Eugene to take the Oregon job, and somebody you know quite well, as this punt by Floyd is effective inside the 10. Good job there by Canyon Floyd. But what type of impact, you know him so well, what type of impact will he have and is he having with this program in year 1 for him?
I mean, it was always great to see Hines. I played with him for 9 years in Pittsburgh, and I think the mentality that he brings, he's a hard-nosed, wide-receiving football player that also knows how to coach it. And I think when you're talking about a team that's predicated on the run, when you have a Scattaboo and a Brooks in the backfield and now Jeff Sims today, the importance of blocking on the edges for a wide receiver is key. It's the things you do when the ball's not in your hand that also matters. And this group, the reason why they're so successful this year, I think, is because of that impact of being able to block downfield.
Shane?
Yeah, I had the chance to talk to him before the game, and I just asked him, why come back to coach college football? He said he likes to be around the college game. And he said he's looking to build these guys as champions on and off the field, and expanded on that, saying, I want to teach about the importance of making really good decisions. What a guy to have on the coaching staff, as you well know, Max, for Arizona State.
Nah, none better there. I mean, the class of the league, it's not a matter of if, it's just when he gets into the Hall of Fame, and I can't wait for that day for Hines. He's so deserving, and of course, he's made a lot of big plays blocking in this very city in a different stadium down the street.
Certainly has. Tell you what, Joe Royer is putting up Hines Ward type numbers once again in this first half. His 3rd catch gives Sorsby and the Bearcats a little bit of space. And on 1st down, a collision up past the 25. Kiner gets 3 hard yards.
Yeah, and after you've kind of opened things up with the pass, now the run, a 7-man box. They just run a simple dive play off the right side just to change things up and get a little bit of yardage. You want to get back into this. They're a balanced team that loves to run the football, had over 200 yards plus in their opening games, had a little bit of issues with the offensive line, some shuffling going on, and trying to get back to that early season success.
Yeah, they were running the football really well, and then they lost D'Artagnan Tinsley for a few games. He is back today. A running game that has struggled the last few weeks. Sterling Burkholder with the catch. Big target, the 6'4", 200-pounder, and another 1st down.
And when the run opens up, it opens up the play action, give a little fake, and then he sees Burkholder. I mean, it's not hard to see him. He's 6'4", for goodness sake. Runs a stop route, And with the DB running in chase, Abney, who's so good, but playing a zone in that moment, realizing it, Burkhalter stops, makes himself open. Nice completion for the first down.
Satterfield with a couple of great big targets on the edge with both Henderson and Burkhalter, both standing around 6'3", 6'4". Good job there by Cyrus Fiaseu, the transfer from San Diego State. It's been a balanced attack for the Bearcats so far. Time of possession pretty equal between these two teams as well, but look at the back.
At every turn, a Hyundai Tucson.
I think he needs one too. What do you think?
Javen Robinson, the starting corner, the transfer from Washington State, getting rolled up here on the edge.
And Javen Robinson at the bottom of the screen. Oh, he got hit from behind. He got a little backslash. I'm surprised that wasn't a penalty, because he wasn't looking, and you know, to make contact from behind. Francis Sherman is the one that contacted him in the back. He is in the tent right now with a little limp to it. Hopefully you can get him back, because he's been a fantastic corner for the Sun Devil defense.
Yeah, he has been one of the leaders since he arrived in Tempe. LT Welch, the junior from Lafayette, will take his spot. 2nd down and 9 following the injury timeout. Empty set, blitz off the edge. Sorsby, though, boy, he has poise. He knew he was going to pay the price. Throws a strike. Henderson with the reception and a first down.
And once again, 4-2, wide open on the inside. Everybody squeezes down off the edge. And of course, no problem. Xavier Henderson in the off coverage makes himself open and gets the first down.
Sorsby 8 of 11 in this first half, 81 yards. He has the 1 interception. Royer in motion. He'll be the lead blocker for Evan Pryor, and the home run hitter trying to deliver the boom. And there he goes. 55 yards, touchdown.
We said home run capable, but it's like Ohtani capable. The way that he just burst. A beautiful counter, or what we would call a wham play, because the tight end pulls in that motion and is the lead blocker. Evan Pryor, when given somebody in front of him, he is dynamic. And as we watch it again, great job by Royer just filling, and then the vision by Pryor makes a single cut back to the middle of the field, and then after that, it's pay dirt. And of course, a little dust in the face of the defenders or these pellets, since we're on artificial turf.
He has been the big play element. Touchdown runs this year of 64, 65, and now he adds 55 yards to that resume. Just like Royer, the Ohio State connection strikes.
And amazingly smart.
16 Pro on us. And families can save 20% every month.
Fish oil brand in the U.S. Nordic Naturals. Better for you.
From this guy. Any turkeys?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are getting close to that time of year for Thanksgiving, so you don't want that frozen turkey drop happening overhead. So you check for any helicopter going around any large spaces.
Duck and dodge and roll.
Such a great show back in the day. It was one of those, I loved watching it. And of course, when you get to come to that city, you can't help but think about that iconic show that represented a city like Cincinnati.
Well, this city is bright red right now. The Bearcats, 17 unanswered. They lead by 10. And let's see how Arizona State responds. Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils, after starting so quickly out of the gates, running into a little bit of a brick wall here. I got to believe it's going to be a steady dose of number 4 in Cam Scatterboo right here.
Well, I think you have to lean on the guy that's gotten you to this 5-1 record, and Cam Scatterboo. I referenced it really quickly earlier, but 170.5 all-purpose yards, 3rd best mark in the country. So you want to use him. We've seen him in a couple of swing passes, but the run game, because of that fumble, you wonder if they got a little bit shy about it, but you got to get back to your workhorse.
Scatterboo 5 rushes for 19 yards. He will get the carry here. You see his base and his balance, and then everything falling forward, and that's a good surge on 1st down out past the 30.
and that keeps you on schedule. Remember, when you get the first down, one of the biggest things you want to do, you've got to get 4 yards to keep things on schedule, and Scadaboo's so good at that. Now, he gets even better and more dynamic later the games go, but early on, just to keep pace, because Marcus Arroyo talked about not wanting to overpower him or overload him in the first half, so you're trying to pick and choose where you're going to use him, but now down 10 points, you need to utilize him a little bit more.
He has been one of the better rushers in the fourth quarter in all of college football. Spins away from the initial wave, and there is Antoine Peak. For the second straight week, we talked about it. Peak is really making an impact from the star position.
And that star position is that pseudo linebacker safety hybrid, and Peak playing a little bit off the ball at that second, almost third level. You can get a little bit better vision, and right there able to kind of peak where he wanted to go and just hit downhill and prevent a gain from the Sun Devil offense.
There was a late injury there for Cincinnati, so that's why we have the stoppage and some time for Sims and this Arizona State offense to figure out what they want to dial up.
Yeah, it gives them an opportunity. I'm not sure if that was, is that Peak that's down there? That he was pointing to his shoulder, walking to the sideline gingerly, and that would be a big loss. Because we talked about 2 big plays that he's made in this game, and to not have him there kind of strafing at that second level is going to be tough.
The freshman Sanks replaces him on this third down. Sims with a clean pocket. Now he's flush. He'll try to sprint toward that sideline, and he will get there. Good job by Jeff Sims using his athleticism, and this is a big guy, 6'3", 220 pounds, and all the coaches talked about his physical skill set.
His physical skill set and his absolute speed. You see he gets forced out, doesn't like what he sees, starts to roll to that left sideline, and all of a sudden turns on the jets and just blows by Jared Bartlett trying to make the play and getting the first down.
Well, they're going to change it after some discussion along that far sideline. They're going to say he stepped out of bounds shy of the 35.
And you see Kenny Dillingham, everybody's running and yelling on the sidelines from ASU side.
They will not challenge it, though. Second punt of the day for Floyd. Bouncing kick. Wilson will let this one bounce inside the 15. It will come to rest at the 12. 55-yard punt as we go down to Shane on the injury front.
Yeah, guys, couple injuries. Javon Robinson, they had him in the tent for about 6 minutes, and then they took him back to the locker room. I'll do my best to get more on that. And as we speak, we just saw Antoine Peak Jr. walk off the field. He is currently in the Cincinnati medical tent.
2 big names for both secondaries that we will certainly keep a close eye on.
And especially Javon Robinson's done a great job. He's had to defend against some of these tree trunks that are walking around parading as wide receivers for Cincinnati. And of course, Peak making some big plays on Scadaboo in this game. So yeah, definitely will be missed while they're out.
Second straight drive with the Bearcats have opened up deep in their own shop. Wide open near side. Henderson goes up that 6'3" frame. He snatches it. And a first down. Plenty of cushion given as they work on LT Welch, who's in there for the injured Robinson.
And just an absolute teardrop in the zone. Welch is just a little bit too underneath, tried to undercut that route. Sorsby puts enough air that drops in between the 2 defenders right on the sideline. Nice pitch and catch for the first down.
Solid first half for Henderson, who had his quietest game of the year last week at UCF. All Big 12 wide receiver. Looking for that cutback lane, and it is there. Flags fly, though, as Kiner is out past the 35 to the 37. Looked like a hold, and this one coming back.
Yeah, when it's thrown right there in the middle, and you got multiple guys seeing it, you have to assume that is in the holding zone.
Holding. Offense number 44. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
One of the priorities for the Bearcats, Max, coming in was rediscover that ground game so they could have the balanced offensive attack.
And the ground game has been effective. We see the Sorsby on the triple option out to the left. and then the passing game, because of the running, allows for it to open up, soften up the zones. And Joe Royo does a great job sitting down in that zone, right? Because you're worried about the home run capability, and there it is right there. Evan Pryor takes it right up the middle for a 55-yard score. So balance is key for Cincinnati early in this contest.
Slow start for Sorsby, but he has certainly heated up. 8 straight completions. Johnson the catch, wrapped up immediately by Alford.
And not a lot of places to go. Sorsby making the quick decision, knows that he has a receiver that's hanging back a little bit for a now route release as the other 2 receivers go upfield. So he just makes a quick little play, trying to get a little bit of yardage back that you lost on the holding call.
Talk to the Cincinnati coaches, even the Arizona State coaches. They all agree Brendan Sorsby will be a Sunday player one day. Started his career at Indiana as a starter in a number of games a season ago for the Hoosiers. Hit the transfer portal, was named the starter on August 22nd, and this offense has taken off. Looking for Barry Jackson, and Keith Abney nearly had his 2nd pick of the day.
And this is something, we're looking at it early, that's the 2nd time Sorsby trying to throw that back shoulder fade towards the sideline has just been a little inaccurate, throwing it a little shortened to the inside. And Abney, of course, was like, hey, if you're going to give me a 2nd one, I'll take it, but just gets right outside of his outstretched fingers from holding in his 2nd interception of the day.
We still have yet to see either one of these teams convert a 3rd down. Both are 0 for 3. 3rd and long, and they will hand it off. This is Kiner with some work to do. Kiner keeps his balance and is finally driven out of bounds at the 31 by Welch, setting up a 4th down.
And Kiner is a bowling ball. 5'9", 210, so stout, big legs. He powers through 2 tackles and then eventually gets taken down by the 3rd one, but you weren't expecting this, thought he would go down. No, keeps balance, great contact balance, and then it takes 2 additional Sun Devils to take him down short of the 1st down stick and force the punt.
Ryan Ward's defense needed that stop.
They did.
Trying to get back on the railroad tracks a little bit. Australian senior Mason Fletcher on the punt. Stovall with the fair catch signal at the 27. 43 yards on the punt for Fletcher. Arizona State in this offense back to work when we come back to Cincinnati. After Arizona State took the opening pick to start this game, 61 yards, it's been all Cincinnati. Each team with a turnover, 17-7 Bearcats. Sorsby with the touchdown run. Pryor broke one from 55 yards. Scadaboo the lone touchdown for the Sun Devils. Jeff Sims, first start of the year for the injured Sam Levitt. Sims started his career at Georgia Tech. Was slowed down by injuries, made the transfer, won the starting job in Lincoln a season ago. Started the first 2 games. Just too many turnovers, and now a fresh start in the desert. Sims is going to tuck and run, and he paid the price, and this will draw the flag. He went into that protective slide, and the freshman Sanks came in and lowered the boom.
Sanks in for Peak, and this is when you talk about taking advantage of a guy, and he led with that forearm, so you wonder if this is even a bigger decision about whether it's going to be a targeting or not. And so that's the discussion right now, because he did go into a slide and he made contact with the head and neck area.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness with targeting, defense number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down. The previous play is under further review.
Yeah, and this is what you have to worry about, and that's one of the things that could hurt. You've already lost Peak, and now you potentially are now in a situation with Sanks, his replacement, coming in. But we watched that play, and yeah, he led with it. There was no way to kind of deny. He got up trying to say that he was doing something different, but you could pull off in that moment because both feet were in the ground, and right there, making contact, forcible contact to the head and neck area is the definition of the rule, and he did both of those things. So we'll see if that actually satisfied for a disqualification or not.
So they are taking another look at it upstairs. As we take one more look, you see the protective slide here. He goes down, the forcible contact, the trigger. Yeah, I'm with you, Max. I don't see how
it goes any differently. And this would be another blow for this Bearcat defense. And you see the head kind of rocking back on Sims, so you know he was contacted in that area on our replay. And Saints gets up thinking, what did I do? And yes, that's how football's played. If he goes head first, fair game, right? But you know, it is one of those things. It's a bang-bang play, so you wonder if slowing it down gave a different
thing. After further
thing.
review, there is no foul for targeting. It's first down.
Well, saved by the replay there. So what it might have been is that he led with the shoulder, and the shoulder as he was going into it which sheds that call and keeps him playing in this game. And I'm sure Shane will know in a little bit about that, about the state of Peak.
Dangerous hit with that launch or upward thrust or severe strike. Neck and head area, and Sanks lives to fight another day for the Cincinnati defense. Now Arizona State knows all too well the power of that targeting call. They started last week's game with Utah without two of their top defenders, Keyshawn Elliott and Clayton Smith.
Fresh set of downs though for ASU after that play though.
At the 41-yard line, quick hitter right up the middle. This is DeCarlos Brooks.
Number 25, DeCarlos Brooks.
Let's go back down to Shane with an injury update.
Yeah, guys, Antoine Peak was in the tent for about 10 minutes. They took his shoulder pads off, and they were actually working on his shoulder pads. Looked like a drill. His father, Antoine Peak Sr., came down. They exchanged some words, and as he came out of the tent, Antoine Peak Jr. had a smile on his face, so hopefully we'll see him back in the game.
Yeah, that'd be great. Antoine Sr., the Hall of Famer here at Cincinnati, playing for legendary coach Rick Mentor. Brooks is cut down. That was Trayvon Gola-Kallard, the junior from Las Vegas, and on the stop.
And just a great job. Back-to-back rushes for Brooks, and now Scadaboo comes back into that lineup. And this is a situation you don't want to be in. Like we talked about in the last drive for the Bearcats, neither one of these teams great at third down as it states so far in this contest. So you got to make a conversion, got to keep the ball going if you're ASU down 10 points.
They rush only 3. They keep a spy on Sims, and this is going to be really close. Let's see where they mark it.
Number 0, Jordan Tyson.
Very close to the sticks. Tyson with the reception.
Jordan Young, number 1, made the
and they are going to signal fourth down.
Fourth and short, but we all know it's always go time. Fourth and short, middle of the field.
Fourth and short, they will hand it, and for the second time, get denied. Scadaboo, nowhere to go. Jared Bartlett exploding and filling that hole.
Great play by the Bearcat defense. In that situation, you know you got to go all out and sell out. And Jordan Bartlett does a great job of reading and actually going behind the pull and getting into the lane before Scadaboo can get going. And then, of course, ties up both of those big, powerful legs that Scadaboo has, not allowing him to run. You can't run over people if you don't have your legs.
How about this Cincinnati defense? That is twice now they have turned away the Sun Devils on fourth down.
And looking at it, a fourth down stop is just as good as a turnover because you don't lose any field position. And this is great field position once again for this Bearcat offense.
Well, we'll see with the sudden change of possession if Sorsby tries to go deep. Pryor is in the game. Play fake. Sorsby on that throwback screen and making the catch. And then getting drugged down by the jersey was Pryor. Simmons stretched that red as far as it would go, and he hung on for dear life.
And this is one, it's a fake quarter rollout to the right with a throwback screen to the left to Pryor. And I don't know what material that shirt's made out of, but man, that thing looked like he was pulling out those little fire blankets from back in the day, you know, you try to catch somebody jumping out of a building.
I need one of those shirts when I jump in the wrestling room.
That type of that, or when I go to the buffet, I need some expander space, you know.
That's always more enjoyable. Second down and 13. Two tight ends to that right side, over the middle on the slant. Henderson, who's been active today, makes the catch. It's that Henderson-Welch connection. Another first down as we go down to Shane.
We talked to Cincinnati in the production meetings, and they said defensively it is about pursuit. We got to get 11 hats on the ball. One guy might miss a tackle, but the other 10 guys can pick him up. And this sideline, guys, with Cincinnati, there is a lot of energy, high fives. This defense is flying around. It's a happy place here in Cincinnati.
Well, this offense trying to make it even happier with this drive. You see the clock approaching 3 minutes to go in this second quarter. From the 37, over the middle on that double move, and it is Tony Johnson from his slot position. 16 more yards, and they are just picking apart the Sun Devils secondary.
The zone coverage is just not working, and just a great job of slowing down. Tony Johnson, kind of a little hesitation, double move. You see Sorsby kind of give a little subtle shoulder shimmy, and then hits Johnson as he clears in between the two zone defenders and puts an absolute bullet right into that 0 on his chest.
Sorsby has certainly found his rhythm. 13 of 17. Remember, he started cold. In the flow of the game right now as they will hand it off, and this is Kiner inside the 10. Kiner still on his feet, reeling his way toward the goal line, and they'll say he'll be a yard shy.
Xavier Alford with the stop, a goal line saving stop there for the Sun Devils. But look at the contact balance. He takes one hit at the line of scrimmage. Two more guys, a third guy, and then finally Alford readjusts and takes him down by the ankles.
Kiner sends this crowd to their feet as we hit the 2-minute timeout. Bearcats looking to punch. Corey Kiner coming to life late in this first half on this drive after being really bottled up for the first quarter and a half. He's ripped off 32 yards on this drive, and that last run before the 2-minute timeout putting Cincinnati in primetime position.
Excellent field position. The one thing you want to be if you're Cincinnati, secure. Keep that ball secure. You have to think that ASU is going to be trying to punch out that ball like they were on that drive that led to the 32 yards gained. So got to keep the ball secure here in this goal-to-go situation.
Jumbo set, 3 tight ends. They fake the pitch, and Sorsby will get across for the touchdown. Brendan Sorsby, his second rushing touchdown today.
And Brendan Sorsby getting up there with the big wide chest showing off the back, rushing for his second touchdown on the day, just right up the middle. ASU was close, but not close enough. Little fake move, little half man, half amazing, and one reference there. And Sorsby goes right up the gut, puts the ball across the goal line before getting turned away, signaling the touchdown. And this Cincinnati Bearcat crowd for this homecoming game, they're giving the alumni and the faithful a lot to cheer about, now going up 3 scores.
Sorsby today with his 5th and 6th rushing touchdowns of the season. They're taking another look upstairs just to make sure that ball crossed. It did, so now Hawks on for the point after. 23 straight for the Bearcats in this first half. They have certainly found their rushing attack once again today. And a fired up Cincinnati sideline. For more on that, let's go back down to Shane.
Well, every week, Cincinnati's coaching staff awards the Juice Award. And here's a towel. It says the Juice Mob with a juice box on it. Guys that aren't playing, they're on the sidelines, shaking it all over the place, adding energy, getting the guys fired up, doing something that is selfless, trying to help the team in a different way that might not be on the football field. So there is plenty of juice. It'll be interesting to see who gets that award following this game if Cincinnati hangs on for the W.
Thank you, Shane. Plenty of buy-in with this program right now for Cincinnati. And what's amazing is this coaching staff has been able to do it. And keep in mind, they brought in 46 new scholarship players by the time they wrapped up last season, opening up spring and fall ball this year.
That's a lot of new names. That's a lot of tape on helmets to remember all of that. Turning over essentially about half your roster. And you know, that's the kind of current landscape we're in, and why I think we see some coaches that don't have an appetite for it, that move on or retire, and those who thrive in these environments, and now you're seeing that success pay off this season with both of these programs. Dillingham did the same thing as Cincinnati, and they're both having a good time so far in this new Big 12.
Satterfield told us yesterday in our talk that he has always been a player-driven type of coach. From his days back at App State, he learned from one of the best with Jerry Moore, and he has continued that when he was his head coaching days back at Appalachian State to Louisville and now here at Cincinnati. Again, both these teams at 2-1 in the Big 12. Everybody chasing BYU right now. The Cougars picked up a late night win against Oklahoma State. They go to 4-0. Iowa State will play UCF later today. Texas Tech also unbeaten.
Yeah, there's a lot to be playing for, and you want to keep that position. You want to keep that number as a 1 in the loss column, and both these teams fighting to not get a second loss in conference.
Low throw uncorked by Sims, 2nd and 10. Plenty of time for Arizona State, 2 timeouts. Sun Devils in this offense has been very quiet since the opening drive.
Got to see the ball go vertical if you're ASU, something that they're not being feared and playing a lot of open zone.
8 into coverage for Cincinnati. Scattaboo trying to tiptoe along the Bearcats sideline. That pass sailed on him. And it will be 3rd down. And obviously down 17, Arizona State needs to think points. But boy, you have an opportunity if this Bearcat defense gets a stop. They might not be done.
They might not be done with potentially great field position if you could hold them here. But, you know, for this ASU team, Scattaboo was wide open in that zone. Shimon Mateer pulled the defender down to him. It's just a little bit more touch for Sims, and that could have been a play for him.
Bartlett comes on a blitz. They will go conservative with the call, and it is Sims. And a 4th down for Arizona State, and as we expected, Cincinnati will use a timeout.
Yeah, this has been tough, you know, for both teams even. No 3rd downs. The only difference is Cincinnati's hit on 1st and 2nd down and made plays to score points, and ASU just hasn't been on the plus side of the field. They've been trapped right around midfield is usually where they get stymied, and having to force, what is it, the 3rd punt of the game, and 2 failed 4th down conversions on the plus side of the field has really been the tale of this first half. So the biggest thing is, I know you get the ball at the half, and that's why they ran that kind of counter scheme right there, to be conservative, trying to kick it away and give them the long field. But at some point, you got to unleash the dogs. You got to attack. You got to let Jeff Sims throw downfield, because Cincinnati's playing in a zone, and they're not really fearing him throw the ball over the top vertically, and they're playing everything in the short and shallow range and just trying to affect him with a 4-man rush.
Runoff. However, they will take a timeout. It'll be 30 seconds in length.
So a timeout in the action, 1:36 to go until halftime. And don't forget, more action continues on ESPN Plus. Big 12 basketball media days. Hard to imagine that the hoop season is right around the corner. Women's media tip-off is on Tuesday, October 22nd. And then the men's media tip-off the very next day, Wednesday, October 23rd, 11 to 4. Both days, coverage available on ESPNU and ESPN Plus. One of the big additions this offseason was Brendan Sorsby. He has taken full command of this offense, engineering it with a confidence that Satterfield has always wanted and he has found in the transfer portal.
And a redshirt sophomore, which means he's still got some eligibility left. So it's not a one-hit wonder like most transfer portal guys. Comes over from Indiana, and we see the numbers from today adding to the numbers he brought into this. He was 1,722 yards passing, 13 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and now what we talked about, 5th and 6th rushing touchdowns on the season, which brings him to a little bit under 100 yards rushing, but very effective in the moments that he chooses, and he's been great today. Different from last week when he was at UCF.
Just not the skill set, but the toughness. Finished last year with a problem with his AC joint, battled those final few games for Indiana in the Big Ten, and A fresh start here, and man, as he thrived in this offense with Brad Glenn and head coach Scott Satterfield, and this offense wants more. 90 seconds, a couple of timeouts.
And a big opportunity here. You're on the plus side of the 30. You probably need about, let's call it about 35 yards of offense. 2 timeouts, a minute 30, just to get in field goal range. But of course, I'm sure they want more than that. But if you get about 35, 40 yards of offense of production, you can go ahead and kick some points right before the time comes out.
From the 32-yard line, Johnson goes in motion. Sorsby with time, checks down. That's that tight end delay they like to run with Royer up to the 35. So let's talk Arizona State. Best case scenario, keep in mind they get the football to start the second half.
Best case scenario, they don't put points on the board. You hold them out, so now you're sitting down 17 points. You can still run your offense, which is still run heavy and use the play action in there, but you have to prevent the score here to allow that. If you go down now a 4th score in the game, it will get to Jeff Sims having to pass a lot more.
30 seconds.
Kenny Dillingham taking that last time out. You see him, the emotional firecracker, trying to light a fire with this defense, saying, hey, I have confidence, get a stop here, let our offense get one more crack at it.
And that's all you need. I mean, everybody's looking for where can I steal a possession here or there. That's when turnovers matter. Those 4th down stops matter, because less yardage to work with is key. So if you can get some type of play, probably tell them, hey, if you get near a ball, punch it out. Try and punch it out, but make sure you make the tackle, because they tried that on Kiner, but it was a cut block tackle or a swat. You've got to go in trying to wrap, and using that wrapping motion to kind of punch the ball up and out is an effective method that we just haven't seen. So hopefully they're trying to light something in there. The pass rush hasn't been there either.
Neither team converting on a 3rd down. That trend continues deep into this first half. Sorsby 14 of 18, 3rd and 2 from the 40. He will hand it off, and a 1st down run up to the 43-yard line. They had a shot at him in the backfield, but Kiner made a miss. That was Miles Rouser, who doesn't miss too often. He was like a missile coming in.
Yeah, Rouser came in and tried to wrap, but just ducked his head and lost sight of Kiner.
So now it's Cincinnati back with the foot on the gas. Check down Kiner out of the backfield, and he is pushed out of bounds. That'll stop the clock, plus territory. Caleb McCullough escorting him out.
Yeah, the former Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week last week, had a big game against Utah there on the stop. Fortunately, not able to get him with a minimal gain, and now you're sitting at 2nd and short for this Bearcat offense on the plus side of the field.
Yeah, McCullough was sensational last week. Picked off Cam Rising twice, had 12 tackles. His 38th career game for a young man that absolutely loves Arizona State. Takes such great pride representing the Sun Devils. Little middle screen there and a high hit. Face mask. You just saw Johnson's neck get whipped back. McCullough in the neighborhood, and it's just going from bad to worse right now for Arizona State.
Yeah.
Personal foul, face mask. Defense number 22. 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Yeah, bad to worse. You're already allowed the 1st down, and McCullough making the stop on the previous play, but as he's coming across, you can see he's getting contacted, trying to work his way around Luke Kandra, and as he reached back, catches full face mask there, and going backwards is Tony Johnson, who's now exited the game for a minute because of that pull on the neck. Those are not fun. I've had my face mask grabbed before, and I can tell you, not a fun feeling.
You feel it tomorrow.
Yes, you will feel it tomorrow, and we'll take a timeout here, but this is a prime position. You have 40 seconds, still both of your timeouts available to you if you're Cincinnati, and everything's been hitting. They haven't had a negative play in this drive, and Sorsby has not been pressured, so you have to think that this is an opportunity to put another 7 on the board, but at least they'll come away with possibly 3 if they don't turn the ball over.
Scott Satterfield playing the calls, relaying those calls to Brendan Sorsby, and he has had everything clicking in this first half. 268 yards of offense, a balanced attack, 142 through the air, 126 on the ground, and they are spreading it out among a lot of different players. With the 2 timeouts, first down. Sorsby, sideline, caught, a little toe drag. Clock will continue to tick, and Sorsby will be forced to burn a timeout.
Yeah, Xavier Henderson does a great job. Pressure. Now Sorsby rolls into the pressure, but then gets the ball out the last second. Xavier Henderson with the NFL-style catch. Good help. Luke Kandra just absolutely blasts and tries to finish off the defender there, Justin Watley. And then Sorsby just throwing a nice little pass over the top. And of course taking advantage of LT Welch over there on the corner, who's in for the injured David Robinson, and just creates too much separation. And Xavier Henderson, I mean, that was one of those you look at and you're like, that's a Sunday catch right there.
6 catches for Henderson in this first half, 52 yards. And this is an offense that is scary. You look at what Sorsby has brought to the table. We talked about Henderson, this running game, the 1-2 punch of Kiner and Pryor, and then that all-important offensive line that gets Tinsley back today. We're seeing extended reps from Tangessa Hall, the redshirt freshman who's getting some reps at guard. You get Tinsley and Buford back in there at their normal spots. You have the All-American Kandra. This is an offense that's going to move the football like they have all season.
Oh, and they're top 25 in the country. One of 8 teams that has that type of balance on the ground and in the air. And it's darn near even. 126 rushing to 148 passing on today. So keeping a lot of balance going on this team and nearing 300 yards of offense in this first half.
30 seconds, please.
You're a young offensive lineman. You love to watch those big guys up front. Dial in on number 67 at right guard. The technique, the fundamentals.
30 seconds.
Luke Kandra plays with, the All-American from a season ago.
And the all-important thing for an offensive lineman, the nasty, the touch of the nasty. You need a little bit of that, little extra dirt under the fingernails type of approach. And he brings absolutely that. We saw that on the play, on the help side, on that last play.
I'm thankful I've never seen your nastiness yet.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to see it.
No, just don't get in front of me in the buffet line.
2nd down and 5. I'll give you a shirt if I do. Here's a lob pass back of the end zone. Good coverage, and it's incomplete. Terrific blanket coverage there by Rouser. Sorsby and this crowd wanted a penalty, but that looked like really good job by the defenseman.
Yeah, it looked clean, and that ball was sailing out of bounds. We're going to take another look at the top of the screen, and Henderson's running, and what they're arguing is for that penalty is, did he turn around and ID the ball? Because, you know, he ran with both his hands up, but did he look back? And I think the referees were satisfied. They looked back just enough out of the corner of his eye, and it wasn't a pass interference.
They don't pick up another inch. It'd be a 41-yard field goal for Hawks. 3rd down. Sorsby threads the needle over the middle, incomplete. He was looking for Jamoy Mays. Welch with the coverage, and the Bearcats will send out the field goal unit.
So great coverage by Welch, who's been getting picked on in this first half since Javen Robinson's been out, but a great job defending there on that 3rd down. And when we look at the numbers, 1 of 11 between both of these teams on 3rd down. And the only 3rd down conversion was the 3rd and 2 on this drive. Before that, 0 for 10 between the two in this contest so far.
Hawks, who hit from 46 earlier, this one from the far hash, 42 yards away. It is up, and it is no good as he pushed it to the right.
Best case scenario kicking in. You didn't want to give up points. You were worried you're going to give up another one to make it 3 scores. And this is something, well, I'm sorry, there's already 3 scores, possibly 3 full scores versus 4 potential scores. They hold. The kick is not good. You got 17 seconds, 1 timeout. You have a chance for maybe like a Hail Mary, try and get it down to the middle of the field. But their kicker has been spotty this season, so are you trusting the kicker to make a kick before the end of half? Because you would love a double score opportunity to touch the ball twice before the Bearcats have a chance to get back into this. So it'll be interesting to see what their decision making is on this drive.
Just the 1 timeout. Sims will bring Scattaboo out of the pistol on 1st down. Sims cocks up, uncorks, and just as Tyson got ready to make a move, looked like he was going to be in a position to make a catch, he blew a gasket and went down.
Yeah, I don't know, and if he tripped on the heel of the defender we made the end, no, the turf monster got him as he went for that in cut up the middle of the field. We'll take another look at it. He's going and just kind of slips that left foot, kind of gets underneath him, and he can't keep his feet. But that was a perfectly thrown pass for Sims in the middle of that zone coverage between the safeties.
Missed opportunity there for the Sun Devils. 7 players in this secondary, 20-25 yards downfield. Chased out of the pocket. Sims keeps his eyes downfield, nothing there, so he will.
With extra safety over the top to help him out.
Arizona State has been really good in what football folks call the middle 8. The final 4 minutes of the first half, the first 4 minutes of the second half, and Jake Smith, the speedster, trying to get into some space, and a good return, 35 yards for Smith, the 5th-year senior from Scottsdale. And now let's talk Arizona State. Offensively, Max, what does this team need to do to try to get some traction and get that offensive identity that they've relied on through the first 6 weeks of the year?
Got to have success on first down if you're going to run the ball. Cam Scadaboo has to be effective in forcing and drawing them into single coverages on the outside to get the man opportunities either through play action, but they got to push the ball downfield once they establish that rush to help out Jeff Sims.
Pretty conservative first half for Sims, 5 of 9, 56 yards. He'll start throwing on the run, and this is a strength of his. A dart to Jordan Tyson and a good start. A return by Smith and now a first down throw.
Nice job moving the pocket, not forcing him to stay stationary behind the offensive line. Get him on a quarter rollout. Jordan Tyson running a nice level route to the sideline, and Jeff Sims, strong arm, strong delivery to get this ASU offense going.
Tyson 4 catches, 56 yards. Again, no Xavier Guillory. He was ruled out midweek. One of their top receivers. Scadaboo with some room, and he lowers the pads as he plows his way up to the 45-yard line. Collision with Derek Canteen.
A little GT counter action, running the guard, but of course having the tight end fill in as the tackle on that counter and lead block. And Scadaboo so patient with his vision and just darting up the field to get a big gain.
7-yard run for Scadaboo, 9 carries, 32 yards, had a couple of receptions as well. Back-to-back carries. Scadaboo moving those legs close to the first down stick. What a great story. Cam Scadaboo started his career at Sacramento State. He attended a cap, did not get a lot of interest, a lot of looks out of high school. He suffered an injury his senior year, which prevented a lot of schools from noticing what he was able to do. Plus, his size kept him off the radar. But boy, he blossomed at the FCS level. He was the Big Sky Offensive Player of the Year, and he has thrived under Kenny Dillingham's leadership.
I've done a great job here, and a big third down here for ASU to get their first conversion of the day potentially.
Patient run, and this is Brown as he darts inside the 35 and a first down. Kyson Brown, we saw him on the very first drive carry the ball a couple of times with good success.
And just a great job here, split backs in the backfield, running the motion, Scadaboo to the strong side, pulling out that safety, and allowing for Kyson Brown to come behind their big guard, Ben Coleman, and just find his way through to get enough for the first down. So great play design and structure by the ASU offense.
Brown had a fun time in the game against Mississippi State earlier this year. He's a Mississippi native, born and raised around 70 miles north of Starkville. Gang tackling, you count up the number of lids, and that was a priority for Cincinnati when you bring down number 4.
And Cam Scadaboo running right up in a dive. He meets in the hole. I can't tell if that was Simeon Coleman that met him in there. Josh Minkins, I'm sorry, that he met in the hole. And as we see Simeon Coleman on the sideline right now getting checked out, but that was a big hit, and Scadaboo came out on the winning side of that one.
Second down and 9. Mateer, the tight end, to the left side. Play fake, pressure right away. Sack back at the 40. That was Jared Bartlett.
Jared Bartlett got him.
And just a great blitz structure. You see firing off from the second level. Jonathan Thompson pressures, and Jarrett Bartlett filling on the inside. We call that a lion stunt when strong side backer and middle backer fire on the inside. And that was a perfect play structure. Forced Sims up and into the pocket, didn't allow him to roll out like he likes to do. And Bartlett finishes it off for a loss.
Deafening right now inside Nipper. Third down, they're going to take a shot toward the end zone. Too far out in front, incomplete. They were looking for the deep ball. And Arizona State with 4th and 14, and let's see what the Sun Devils want to do.
And Troy O'Meara was the guy that they were trying to throw to, but blanketed coverage by Jordan Young. Running around just too far out there for Sims, who was pressured from the backside. One of the tough things, Josh Atkins struggled on the edge. He was going head-to-head with old man Eric Phillips, and as his nickname is. And he forced Jeff Sims and forced that throw, and now they're in a punting situation.
Phillips certainly has not played like an old man this year. One of the top leaders in the conference in sacks with 4 this season. A quarterback hurry. His teammates picked up the sack on that last drive. We'll see this Bearcat offense go to work when we come back.
Things when you get to see like actual campus buildings surrounding the stadium and making kind of the bowl for you, just gives you that classic look of a classic stadium.
It truly is the epicenter of this campus. So Cincinnati will look to pick up where they finished that first half, and we started to see Corey Kiner get his legs going and have a little bit of success late in that second quarter.
Yeah, had a nice job, especially that big 20-yard that set them up for a 1st and goal on the 1-yard line. And of course, Sorsby punches it in for the touchdown. You want to see him start breaking some bigger plays, and especially when you have this lead, you're going to want to rely on your run game in the second half to kind of chew up clock to try and continue to put pressure on ASU.
Cutback lane was there, and Kiner was able to wiggle free. And he should have enough for the first down. Looked like he was going to be caught in the backfield, but Kiner, with that low center of gravity, tough to maneuver.
And just look at a body on a body, a hat on a hat. And of course, a guy sneaks through at the end, but he goes through the shoestring tackle and gets the additional yardage to get the first down. And this is the tough type of playing that you want from Kiner, because this is what's going to wear down a defense when you're physically going right at them, right at the teeth of the defense between the tackles.
Was Jordan Crook, who just could not bring Kiner down. So first down from the 25, play fake for Sorsby, and he will float far side. Xavier Henderson, another catch.
And just another nice little ISO. See the stutter, boom, come back on the outside. Rouser gets lost just a second. And that's enough for Xavier Henderson to pull in that ball a little bit short of the first down stick. I'm sure he would have loved to have turned up and tried to reach for the first down, but second and short's not a bad place to be.
See the numbers today for Sorsby, and once again, his favored target has been Henderson. Second down give, and that was Rouser filling the hole. Boy, it is fun to watch Miles Rouser play. His third stop, started his career at Campbell, had a really good season alongside Keyshawn Elliott at New Mexico State, part of their resurgence a year ago, and now he's brought his talents to the Big 12.
Yeah, Rowdy Rouser, I think you would have to say, because he just fills that. It's fun watching him fill on a run game because he triggers so quickly and fills in and plays a lot bigger than his size would denote.
He followed his teammate Keyshawn Elliott. He was a last-second addition. Double clutch, looking for the tight end Royer, but they had him sandwiched pretty comfortably there. Again, the aforementioned Rouser underneath. Alford had the over-the-top coverage.
And great pressure here, running a twist stud on the inside with the D-line that forces Sorsby to kind of airmail that ball a little bit, lofted it a little bit too much to Royer, because there was a tight window if he could have stepped into that throw and delivered it. But great coverage, like you said, combo coverage. Alford over the top with Rouser underneath.
Four-man front, second down. They bring a blitz off the edge, and they get to him. First sack of the day by Arizona State. First one through was Elijah O'Neal, and then Cyrus Fiaseu finished him, the former Aztec.
And Elijah O'Neal was not fake, trying to run a little run action to the left on a rollout and then come back with the naked. Was not fooling nobody, and Elijah O'Neal just closed in, and they just sandwiched and crunched him. And now another 3rd and long for this Bearcat offense, who struggled with anything beyond a short one to really convert. So let's see what they can do here.
3rd down and long, 3rd and 19 for Cincinnati. They fake that throw out toward the flat, middle screen, Tony Johnson, and he will be caught from the backside. Johnson gets back close to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, picks up about 8 yards on that one. Trying to run a tunnel screen that was masquerading as a middle screen there. Try and get behind the big heavy hoofers and see if they could run up some blocking, but a great job by ASU knifing through and making the play for a little gain. They knew they had 19 yards to work with, so to be able to turn them away at 8 yards, you're okay with giving up some of that because you will get a potential field flip with this punt.
3rd punt of the day for Fletcher. Stovall awaiting this kick around the 20. Comes flying up, and he'll make the fair catch at the 26. 38-yard punt. Arizona State with some work to do. A long way from home here in Cincinnati.
Close victory last night against the Cowboys.
This will be Scadaboo, and a big hole opens up, and there he goes, tripped up just as he was getting ready to crank it into a different gear. But a good surge over that right side, 17 yards and a 1st down.
And this is what you got to love. Josh Atkins, look at the straight, the big man, the dancing bear, sets the edge and then allows for scatter drive for ASU.
Mention Atkins, their starting left tackle, one of the improvements they brought this offseason, played every snap last year for Hawaii. This is an offensive line that had 11 different rotations a season ago. They were that banged up. Omire tight roping that sideline, close to another 1st down. He stepped out right at the 50.
And this is just a now screen that they ran on that previous play. Omire staying to the outside in place of the injured Guillory, who's not playing today. He was going to get some rotation along with Jake Smith at that outside receiver position.
Trey Omire started his career at Texas, spent a couple of years in Austin. 2nd down give, and Scadaboo keeps his legs. Man, he is fun to watch. He is old school football from that running back position.
And this is when you think about a guy who's 5th in the country in yards after contact. We just look at that, a little seal to the outside. Ihana Chor comes outside. One guy misses, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 guys are having to swarm tackle Scadaboo because he does not go down on first contact.
Logan Wilson, who tried to come up and make that initial hit, going, what on earth did I just run into? Scadaboo will get a quick break to Carlos Brooks into the game, and a gaping hole over that right guard, and Brooks, he finishes the run up to the 29, and Arizona State with something cooking on this drive.
Hey, a little bit of life in this run game, and they're going right at the teeth of them. You see the inside block, great seal block by Kyle Scott and Late Platano to open that hole there, and Brooks just reads it and just hits the hole going 100 miles an hour.
Just like that, Arizona State has taken it to the 29-yard line. They go right back to Brooks, who tried to bounce it outside, and just nothing there. Logan Wilson finished the tackle that time.
And that was a tough one there. Brooks probably should have had it up in the middle if he would stayed behind his blockers, tried to bounce it, and of course just enough on the hand to allow for the rest of those guys to make it in. Let's take another look at it. This is called influence zone, coming from one side to the left, right to left. Then as he tried to get out there, he gets swarmed up and stopped short.
Job by Darian Varner to hold his ground on that last play. Second down, they're going to take a shot. A lot of contact downfield, and here come the flags. Tyson was getting all bottled up, and the flag flies. Looked like that was Ormani Arnold, the sophomore from Long Beach.
And Tyson's a heck of a runner, and he tried to pull 2-3 moves on him, and Arnold just grabbed the hand.
Pass interference, defense number 8, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Arnold, the transfer from Idaho.
And as we see here, just hands all swarming on him and just knocks Tyson down. Yeah, that was an easy call. Grab the back of the jersey there. You see the jersey get pulled from that left side and then try to get himself back in front of him, and then bumps him again, and Tyson falls down. Very easy to see in the middle of the field.
Quick moving third quarter inside, 4 minutes to go. This is a must get 6 if you're Arizona State. Quarterback power, Sims to that right side, leaps through a little bit of a crevice, and it will be second down. Keep in mind, Arizona State can still pick up a first down.
That's something for them to keep pace here. You've got to keep the momentum, and a great run by Sims and letting Scattaboo be his lead blocker. So a nice job here and a great drive here momentum-wise if you're ASU to pick up, because you haven't had this type of success since the first quarter, first drive of the game.
It's been the ground game that's been reestablished. They will roll right with it. Sims trying to get to that pylon, won't get there. Good job by Jordan Young coming up from his cornerback position.
And a good fill. I think they're a little bit short of that first down stick. They need to get to the 1 yard line to get a new set of downs. And I think, yeah, they're just shy, probably about a half a yard or so, just short. They're readjusting the football as we see that. Okay, so like less than a foot. So you wonder if they go under center here and run a sneak, or, you know, college kids today, they don't really run under center as much. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in this situation. Looks like they're lining up in an I-back style. Nope, shift.
And it looks like they are going to give them the first down. So they've taken the chains out along that far side. So first and goal. Scattaboo is the running back, and he is immediately met in the backfield, runs through the contact, and then throws a shoulder for good measure. That is a valley run. That is a valley finish from Cam Scattaboo. My goodness.
Scattaboo is a hoss. You hear me? He is a hoss. He had 2 guys in the backfield. Oh, we have an injury down on the field. And I wonder if that was Jordan Bartlett who, you know, for a lesser term, truck sticked to get into the end zone on that last play. So we will wait to see. But that is an authoritative run by Cam Scattaboo, who, you know, he reminds me back in the day of like an Allstott.
Exactly.
A Peyton Hillis, right? You think about those rhino backs, the ones that were physical, probably should have played fullback. But, you know, he just runs with such a physicality. Let's see the end of this play again. Once again, 2 guys on the edge that are there. And then you see Jordan Bartlett just tries to come in with the shoulder, gets knocked to the side. And I think that's that moment right there. Big play for ASU, and Cam Scattaboo with his second score of the day for the Sun Devils. He's now getting evaluated by the medical staff in the end zone for that.
Future Bearcat on the play is number 7, middle linebacker Jared Bartlett.
So good to see Jared Bartlett up. Bartlett walking off now into a slow trot. So that is good to see as he caught the shoulder from Scattaboo.
And that was a very physical play on both sides. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. And more often than not, defenders are usually the hammers in those situations, but they didn't meet Cam Scattaboo, and right there, hammer turned to nail, and glad to see he's back up.
Ian Hershey with the point after, and
The honey, that's what hits first. Then you have the extra kick from this.
A long journey for the fans from Tempe, Arizona, and they've been quiet for the most part, but all of a sudden, Cam Skattebo, like he has done all season, he's ignited a little life in this Sun Devil fan base. And now Kenny Dillingham, with his team down 10, 24-14. Looking for his defense to come away with another stop. Still tons of time, a little more than 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. Lewis the approach, and this one will sail through the end zone for the touchback. Cincinnati with the 2 losses, a combined 4 points. That's what those 2 losses have represented. One of those losses to Pitt. For more on that, here's Shane.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, Sean, a very similar score on the board here at Nippert Stadium. It was on September 7th. Cincinnati led Pitt late in the third quarter, 27-6, but Pitt scored 22 straight, including a late field goal to escape with a 28-7 win. That big touchdown from Cam Skattebo, as you said, it has reignited the Sun Devil bench. The fans are into it. Should be a fun finish. Kelly Dillingham just continues to say, one play at a time, one play at a time. Sean?
That defense looking to make those plays now, and Cincinnati will go to their hammer, and that's Corey Kiner. So Kiner, the chain mover, just takes that pile an additional 2 or 3 yards. Corey Kiner, the senior, grew up right here in Cincinnati, started his career at LSU, spent 1 season with the Tigers, coming off a 1,000-yard season a year ago.
Yeah, Corey Kiner, and of course he was escorted by the heavy hoofers. He got a little battering ram action there with the offensive line kind of getting there, getting that additional yardage, but nice physical run on first down.
Royer, the H-back to the right. On second down, they will hand it off. Kiner with that spin, twist ahead. Brought down at the 34-yard line as an old offensive lineman. These are the situations, if you're Cincinnati, that you relish. You lead by 10. You have a running back like Kiner that's going to get you those yards. This is a fun part of the game where you can take over.
This is where you get to go forward and not backwards as an offensive line. So you love these opportunities. Third and short here, you have to feel it's going to be a physical attack. And when you get to run and you get to hit guys and knock them backwards, you love that as an offensive lineman. I enjoy that thoroughly throughout my career.
Third downs have been a struggle, and it will be yards after contact for Kiner. Arizona State and Brian Ward had it figured out, but they just could not execute.
They had stuffed the initial on the counter, body on body, and Kiner just ducks underneath the would-be tackler and then just surges forward for the first down. Second, third down conversion for the Bearcats here, but both in short yardage situations. So trying to eliminate themselves from being in third and long is where they've struggled all year and where they haven't had success today either. But third and short, they've been good with 2 of those now.
First down from the 40. Sorsby with that laser near side. Into the fourth quarter, Cincinnati by 10. Second down, high snap, Sorsby adjust, and a first down carry on the plus territory for Barry Jackson Jr. They like to use him in a number of different ways and formations.
And that's the second kind of toss end around, if you want to call it, by him. This one successful, garnering the first down rush on second down. And Cincinnati starting to get something going. A little stymied in the third quarter, but now here in the fourth quarter starting to pick up some steam and put a drive together.
Fresh set of downs from the Sun Devil 47. Sorsby fakes left, now fakes right. Wanted to go over the middle. He can take off if he wants, and that's what he does. And Sorsby will wisely step out of bounds and avoid the contact, even though he got shoved there late. Good job by Sorsby.
It's a great job. Fake right, fake left, fake right, fake up the middle, and then run left. I've seen that in the playbook before. I swear I have. But just a great vision. Now let's look at the offensive line. Pulling out, you got half your defenders going out to the right, stymieing. Offensive line staying with the blocks until the very last second as Sorsby just picks his way through for the first down rush.
It's a tough block to stay with on that left side where Sorsby ends up.
Yeah, and especially when you didn't expect him to be there.
Exactly.
I had that a couple of times in my career. The guy by the name of Ben Roethlisberger.
Get back in that huddle. What are you doing, Big Ben?
Yeah.
This is Pryor falling ahead for 4 to the 31-yard line. Shamari Simmons, graduate student, another tackle. He has been active from the back end. Keyshawn Elliott, one of the main stars defensively. We understand he is in the medical tent getting attended to, and now just as I say that, he pops out of the tent. So a team already playing without Javen Robinson, the starting corner who they lost early in this game. Second down, Sorsby lost his footing and down he goes. Pounds the ball in frustration. Let's check in with Shane real quick.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Sean, Keyshawn Elliott, really good linebacker for Arizona State. He was in the tent just for a couple of minutes. Then he walked out. He's now on the sideline. His helmet is on. A good sign for the Sun Devil linebacker.
Yeah, Keyshawn Elliott coming over from New Mexico State. He's the green dot of this defense. They missed him last week in the first half. It's a deep linebacking core with McCullough, Crook, and Elliott. Third down and 12. Arizona State will rush 4. Sorsby nothing open initially. Floats right, directing traffic, throws on the run, passes caught, short of the first down, up to the 27-yard line. Abney able to bring down the Bearcat, and a 4th down coming up.
And Sorsby, great protection early. Sorsby, I don't know why he stumbled to the left and then went back to the right and then forced the corner to make a decision and then hit the receiver as soon as the corner pulled off of him.
Cincinnati lined up as if they were going to go up tempo. They wanted to take a look at how Arizona State responded. Now the Sun Devils shifting on that defensive line. Big play, 4th down, Kiner untouched, inside the 20, Kiner to the 10, lost the ball late as it rolled forward, but I believe they're going to mark him down.
Came back up with it. Of course, when you get the big guys running downfield, that's what you want. D'Artagnan, Tinsley jumping on top of that ball as it squirted loose late, but another 3rd and long converted, and we'll look at it again. Just inside zone, great job blocking by the offensive line and just tackling. Can't quite get it out, and Welch forces it loose a little bit, but then of course Tinsley comes and hops on it because that's the follow through as an offensive lineman. You got to run down the field, got to follow up your running back.
Timeout taken by Cincinnati.
Timeout. Cincinnati.
We'll take a break with them. 10:47 to go, 4th quarter. Bearcats 1st and goal when we come back.
Right now, they need to get back into this contest and get a stop here so they can get back in this contest if they want to keep that one loss blemish in the loss column.
1st down and goal. Sorsby, all sorts of time. Dances to the right, and he will get out of bounds. Good job that time by the Arizona State secondary. Nowhere to go for Sorsby.
And when you get closer in the red zone, the key thing is that back line acts as a 12th defender because you don't have as much space to work, so you could spread out defensively when you're running zones, and a great job covering up the receivers, not giving Sorsby too many options, and a kudos to the offensive line. Great blocking up front. The pass rush for ASU has to be more effective in these situations. If you're only going to send 4, you've got to start hitting home and pressuring Sorsby because you don't want him to keep the ball in his hands because he can be dynamic.
Henderson and Johnson split to the right. That's the direction they go. Henderson makes the catch, and then he is shouldered out of bounds immediately. And it will be 3rd down and goal. Rouser right with him.
And in this situation, Xavier Henderson sits, runs a little stop route, and just finds the zone as the defenders are backing up. He's like, wait a second, I got about a 4 to 5 yard cushion, stop here. And Sorsby IDs that and throws him the ball, gets the ball out of bounds. But, you know, getting positive yardage, because you have to realize this is 2 opportunities to get essentially about 3 to 4 yards here. You got 3 yards to get in the end zone, so you know they're not kicking a field goal in this situation.
Cincinnati substitutes, so that allows some fresh bodies in for Arizona State. RPO action. Sorsby throws. He had to thread that needle, and it is incomplete, they say. They were looking for Royer. We had to wait. Rouser again on the coverage.
And that was an absolute dart. Royer just can't keep that left foot in. Let's watch it again. I mean, he puts it in there, and that foot's right on the white line. And I think that was enough to get it out, and then kind of bobbled it right at the end. Let's take another look as he brings the ball, trying to haul it into his body. Ball, nose of the football touches the ground on the outside.
Good job by our officiating crew. 4th and goal. A little bit of confusion by Arizona State defensively, and they will run that option pitch to the outside, and the Sun Devils say, nuh-uh, not this time. Terrific job controlling the edge by C.J. Fight.
The big man goes and finds the play. Talk about strafing there. Once again, ASU shows that 4-2 double gap, what I call double A gap mug. Drop out of it, and a great play by C.J. Fight to run to the outside.
Arizona State and this defense comes up with a big play late. Fight and the Sun Devils still with plenty of fight left. Today, 52% Arizona State, obviously needing a win on the road. The 3%, who's your pick? And it might be somebody not even on the screen the way this conference has went this year.
The way it is, I mean, I like Kansas State, just such a well-balanced team. I don't put anything past Iowa State either. But you have to stay and keep pace. ASU, they need to get this game because you need to stay with the one loss. I feel like that's what's going to make it. You have a second loss, you can kiss the playoff goodbye, I feel, for more often than not.
And if you're Cincinnati, defend the home turf, a must. And 8.5 minutes away from doing that. Scattaboo about a half-yard shy, setting up a 3rd and 1.
Canteen and Thompson filling in on the stop there. Big 3rd down here. It's been tough on ASU and Cincinnati, but 3rd and short, you got to get these now. It is crunch time now. There's no tomorrow.
Sims behind a Scattaboo block, picks up the 1st down. Good job that time over the left side. Josh Adkins again paving the way. There is a flag down though.
But not after they moved the chain, so you wonder if this was something after the play. I don't know if it was a face mask or what that happened here. Waiting to hear the call.
Apparently they're
no call.
No call. They'll pick up the flag. 1st down. Sims with some time. Deep shot looking for Tyson, trying to come back to the ball. And the fight continues, and it is Tyson who ends up with it. We had to wait. Kalen Carroll in a tug of war with Jordan Tyson, but there's that deep ball that you've been waiting for.
Been waiting to see this. When are you going to unload it? Look at that catch. Blanket coverage. And Tyson's just sitting on it, trying to see who's going to finish out the hand battle, because there was a hand in there, but Tyson comes away with the catch.
Scattaboo. Yards in between those guards as he pounds it up to the 31. Jake Golday in on the stop. Kenny Dillingham watching that clock. He just saw his defense come away with a huge goal line stand. And now the backup quarterback, Jeff Sims, who they brought in back in May. A battle with Sam Levitt. During the fall camp, Levitt won the job. He's out today. Sims trying to rally for a victory. Let's go back down to Shane.
Well, Coach Dillingham told us he was really looking forward to watching Sims here today. These guys go back all the way to 2020 when Dillingham was a coach at Florida State. Sims was making a start as a true freshman for Georgia Tech, and he rallied the Jackets back to beat the Seminoles. Went for 277 in the air and 60 yards rushing in that W.
Trying to rally the Devils here in a hostile environment at Nippert. 3rd down, he pulls it back, throws that slant, incomplete, looking for Tyson.
And that was a good read. You got the defense sucked up. You had one-on-one coverage for Tyson, but Tyson just can't separate on the slant. And a great job by the defense of the Bearcats to turn away yet on another third down. Let's take another look at this play. Great job here. Set it up. Tyson just can't get to the inside. Patience you see over there on the Bearcat side. And a nice attempt there by Jordan Young.
Arizona State needs a couple of scores. This kicking game has been inconsistent this year. Ian Hershey from 48 yards, and the woes continue in that area for the Sun Devils.
You have to think you needed a touchdown there and a missed opportunity on third down.
Opportunity comes up shooting blanks for Arizona State.
Kyle, for example, is using Regions Balance Alerts.
Paper tablet at remarkable.com today.
Success, the changing of the conferences, and now a new era blossom. Well, you go back to that last exchange, Max. If you're Arizona State, as Kiner looking for any type of daylight, does not find any. They need 2 scores, but this kicking game has been wild, erratic all season between Ian Hershey and Karsten Kiefer. They go with the 48-yard attempt and nowhere close.
Not even close, and that ball was dead on impact. So if you're ASU, you've got to put the ball in the end zone in this game, and what you're going to depend on now, you need your defense.
Cincinnati relying on their offense in the first half. They have not scored here in the second half, and a big reason for their success, he's been solid all year long. Brendan Sorsby making the right decisions.
And had a hiccup throwing the interception early in this game. Then after that, he's just taking command. Great vision when he sees the blitz or he sees an opening in the zone. He's hit his guys perfectly. And then, of course, when in doubt, use your legs. And he's done that twice for 2 rushing touchdowns. We see the second one here. Got it right across the line on a second effort in that type of situation. And they haven't scored in the second half. ASU has shut them out so far this second half, but for not because you have those opportunities and you can't take advantage of as ASU offense.
You see the numbers, 192 through the air. He's going to try to add to it. It's time to pick and choose, and he chooses wisely. A first down catch in traffic at the 42-yard line. Jamoy Mays, Chattanooga receiver, lots of experience. Offensive coordinator Brad Glenn talked about both Johnson and Mays, and you just can't replace experience in a catch like this in the clutch.
And this is just great by Mays, sitting inside the zone, realizing it's cover 2, and just sitting in between the corner and the safety, and so much time back there for Brendan Sorsby. The offensive line doing a great job against that 4-man rush. They're just giving him all kinds of time. He's able to ID Mays and put a laser on him.
He'll use all of that play clock, stretching to Kiner, who got lassoed up high, and then taken down low as well. Justin Watley and his return to Nippert Stadium. Watley,
timeout Arizona State.
Spent a couple of seasons here at Cincinnati along with Shimon Mateer, starting tight end for Arizona State. Sun Devils burn their second timeout.
And trying to save as much time off the clock as possible. Second timeout they've taken in this drive. But the important thing is what you do after that timeout. You've got to stop this Cincinnati attack. Ran a timeout before that third down, the last one, convert it to Mays, and now you're sitting at a second and medium here. And if you're Cincinnati, you're just trying to get yards so you can stay within that corridor of 3 to 4 yards on third down, because they've had success. When they have been successful on third down, it's been the more third and shorts. Anything third and medium or longer, they have struggled and have not converted as well. So looking to get at least 4 yards on this one to get you to about 3rd and 3 and keep the clock running. Get tackled inbounds, go down inbounds to keep the clock going so you can possibly force ASU to burn another timeout, their 3rd and final one.
It's 2nd and 7 to 46.
Second down and 7. Arizona State can stop the clock one more time. They will hand the ball off. Look at the patience by Kiner. Hole wasn't there initially, waited and then found it. That sets up a third down coming up. And you see Javen Robinson, the transfer from Washington State, one of the leaders of that back end. They've been forced to play without him since early in this football game.
And you see him with the sling on there. You hope it's nothing too serious. You can get him back sooner rather than later, because he was great up until the injury. And then you saw Brendan Sorsby kind of pick on LT Welch, his replacement there at the cornerback position. But the kid's been so good. I know him because he's a West Orange kid from Winter Garden, Florida. Me being from Orlando, I know that part of town very well. And this kid's been a great addition to this team. So you hate to see that. But if you're Cincinnati, you take advantage of those injuries and the replacements that come in, and they've had success going against Welch in this contest. And right now, a big third down here, 3rd and 4. Can you turn them away again? Because I have to believe if they don't convert this third down, they're going to punt. You're not going to give away great field position like they did last drive and trying to go for it on 4th down again.
Sun splash day in a sea of red for Cincinnati. 3rd down and 4. Trips right. Kiner in the backfield. Keeper all the way for Sorsby, and there he goes. Second wave, Sorsby points toward a 1st down. More precious time to wean off this clock.
I mean, I feel like this young man, Sorsby, he's like FedEx. You know, he's like, by air or ground, we're going to get it done, you know. And he just saw an opportunity there. Quarterback design, delay draw, and just picks and weaves his way. Offensive line knew it all the way. They had great blocking up front. They're able to weave their way to another 1st down. And another thing, no more timeouts for ASU. So this clock's going to run, and you know that they're going to keep this ball on the ground.
Steady dose of this ground game, which has been really healthy today for the Bearcats. Kiner on that right side. Corey Kiner closing in on another 100-yard effort. This is a young man that really burst on the scene last year, rushed for over 1,000 yards, looking this season to become first Bearcat to rush for back-to-back 1,000-yard campaigns since a guy that knew what he was doing when he touched the ball, Michael Warren, former Mr. Ohio football back in the day, the glory years for Cincinnati. See the injury to Watley here for the Devils.
And Watley laying down. Who knows? We hope it's not nothing serious, or we also hope that it's not something where he was trying to stop the clock. Because that has also been a scheme I've noticed as of late in college football. You have those injuries, and sometimes, you know, and, you know, Watley being helped out double arms by the trainers. A guy they just got back this week, you know, was missing limited time a week ago, and has been a really good player for them. Obviously came over from Cincinnati, so back in front of the home crowd again. And now he looks like he's going into the medical tent right now as Bismarck plays in the background.
Yeah, that'll distract you.
Yeah.
You know, you look at this defensive line, they've been decimated by injury. CJ Fite's been banged up. Justin Watley, as you talked about. Zach Swanson to start the year. Jeff Clark, Prince Dorba. Elijah O'Neal has been the one guy out there every snap. He's been so good stepping in, and just the improvement all over the field for Arizona State. And I asked Kenny Dillingham and defensive coordinator Brian Ward, what were the 2 areas that you felt you improved the most? And they, without hesitation, set up the middle with this defensive line, and then in that back end with the safeties, Rouser and Alford. 2nd down and 8. Back to Kiner over that right side. Kiner just keeps those legs working. Finally corralled at the 32-yard line. And with that carry, Corey Kiner now has hit the 2,000-yard mark rushing here at Cincinnati, the 15th Bearcat to do it. So congratulations. Born and raised right here. Roger Bacon High School, spent 1 year in the SEC. Missed being at home, came back, hit the scene last year really in a big way, hoping to follow suit with a strong second half of this year.
And he's had it today, and You see the numbers on the screen, 21 rushes for 94 yards, 4.5 average. Really doing the yeoman's work.
Oh, high snap, near disaster. Sorsby is just going to have to eat the loss.
And now it's a tough opportunity. You know you wanted to get more on that. Ball pops in the air, a little CQ exchange. Don't know if the ball got on him a little quick, and heads up play to catch it and then just take the loss. They'll wait for the 2-minute timeout. They don't have to run another play because ASU doesn't have any more timeouts. They burned those early in this drive. So now you're in a big situation to where you were in position to possibly kick a field goal and possibly put a little icing on this cake.
This is a 2-minute timeout.
Now you're going to have to punt.
A rare misfire from the two-time captain and center, Gavin Gerhardt. 2-minute timeout here from the Queen City. Bearcats trying to put the finishing touches on this one.
When the data might add up to a better life for millions of patients, there's real need.
Debut in the season opener, and Scott Satterfield has blended the newbies with some of the veterans that they have, both freshmen and transfer additions all coming in. Having a lot of fun here in year 2 in the Satterfield era, and the All-American working his magic to perfection, Mason Fletcher.
And it is a touchback.
Oh, they're going to say
that left
just
foot
on
was on the line. And I don't know why he thought because when you look down, his foot is clearly on the line. He did a great job before as he was anticipating it, but then for some reason just took that left foot and stepped on the line to secure the catch.
Take one more look. Fletcher did his job. That's a beauty.
Yep, that left foot just goes right there. I mean, heck, both of those feet. So close, yet so far away. So ball will come out to the 20-yard line. 80 yards, a minute 50, no timeouts. Vertical game is in full effect for Jeff Sims.
Sims has played a turnover-free game today for Arizona State. The one turnover was the fumble by Scadaboo. Sims, 8 of 14 throwing, nothing open. He will tuck it and run, escorted out by Jack Dingle. As you take a look at what's in store, the Sun Devils will get a bye, and that comes at a pretty good time for this program to heal up. And then they get ready to head to Stillwater, which will be a very grumpy Oklahoma State team.
Yeah, looking for their first conference victory when they host the Sun Devils. And you saw you've got BYU and Kansas State back-to-back at the end of the schedule before taking on U of A.
Second down, dangerous throw, tipped high into the air and incomplete. Golday got his hand on it.
And Jeff Sims is playing 8-man deep coverage.
Look at what's in store for the Bearcats. Big matchup in Boulder. That's going to be a late night game. So they go from noon at Nippert to midnight in Boulder next week. Then West Virginia see the back-to-back road trips to Ames and Manhattan. 3rd down and 5. And a first down catch. Tyson reels it in up to the 35-yard line. Jonathan Thompson, the tackle. And up to the 35-yard line. Jonathan Thompson, the tackle. Antoine Peak, by the way, back in there for Cincinnati. Antoine Peak, by the way, back in there for Cincinnati. And how about the job of this defense once again? Tyson Veit. And how about the job of this defense once again? Tyson Veit, the first-year defensive coordinator coming in, replacing Brian Brown. First-year defensive coordinator coming in, replacing Brian Brown. And these are the types of plays that his defense has generated. And these are the types of plays that his defense has generated. Eric Phillips, they're solid up front. They have an athletic line. Eric Phillips, they're solid up front. They have an athletic linebacking core and some experience on that back end.
It has been going.
Backing core and some experience on that back end.
It has been going very well. Think about the first score of the game very well. Think about the first score of the game, trying to figure out how this tempo is going to go, and then trying to figure out how this tempo is going to go, and then playing shutout football the rest of that first half. In the second half, you give up one. Playing shutout football the rest of that first half. In the second half, you give up one drive, second drive, in the second half for ASU. Second drive in the second half for ASU. And then after that, they've just been pitching a great shutout. You look at third down conversion. And then after that, they've just been pitching a great shutout. You look at third down conversions, 3 of 10 for ASU on the day. You've dominated the times, 3 of 10 for ASU on the day. You've dominated the time of possession offensively. Just a really clean game by this Bearcat defense. Time of possession offensively. Just a really clean game by this Bearcat defense.
3-man rush. They settle toward the sideline. Mateer with it. 3-man rush. They settle toward the sideline. Mateer with the catch. Yeah, you go back to Tyson Veit coming in at the catch. Yeah, you go back to Tyson Veit coming in from Iowa State. He was a Matt Campbell guy, worked with Campbell from Iowa State. He was a Matt Campbell guy, worked with Campbell at Toledo, and then the last 8 years as the linebacker coach at Iowa State and Toledo, and then the last 8 years as the linebacker coach at Iowa State. And we both know, along with the rest of the college football world, that the Cyclones are doing it with the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
The Cyclones are doing it with the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, so there's not a tie-off, and when you can branch off from that tree, it's not about. So there's not a tie-off, and when you can branch off from that tree, it's not a bad one, and you're getting the result today. And like you said, the 2 losses, bad one, and you're getting the result today. And like you said, the 2 losses combined 4 points. They could be undefeated, so combined 4 points. They could be undefeated, so a very good performance here against a really good ASU squad coming to the house on homecoming.
3-man.
A very good performance here against a really good ASU squad coming to the house on homecoming.
3-man rush chasing, and this will be Sims getting out of bounds to stop the rush chasing, and this will be Sims getting out of bounds to stop the clock. He'll pick up the first down.
And just not
clock. He'll pick up the first down.
And just not enough downfield. Cincinnati doing a really good job. 3-man enough downfield. Cincinnati doing a really good job. 3-man rush only and 8 guys dropping. Call that cover 8 or cloud rush only and 8 guys dropping. Call that cover 8 or cloud coverage on the back end, and just really just swallowing coverage on the back end, and just really just swallowing up whatever receiver in a white shirt comes down there, and making sure that you create that daisy chain across the backside to where Jeff Sims doesn't have a window really to throw. Daisy chain across the backside to where Jeff Sims doesn't have a window really to throw into.
Cam Rutherford lining up over the football, the nose guard back in uniform and healthy today. Pressure off the edge. Sims is going to have to step up again. They'll just continue to nickel and dime their way down the field. Clock will stop. 64 seconds to go. Arizona State still needing a couple of scores.
They need a couple. You've got to have a strike if you want to have a shot at an onside kick. You know, all these scenarios kick into your mind at the end of this, but Jeff Sims just hasn't seen an opportunity to really strike. Cincinnati doing a great job of covering everything up. You know, you look at the screen there, 3 guys down, and everybody else is back 10 yards.
First down, he will check down. This is Scadaboo.
That wasn't the vertical threat I was talking about, by the way, Sean.
I kind of figured that.
It went vertical, it just didn't go as far vertical as you'd like. And, you know, this is the tough situation. When do you just pull the trigger and just fire one down and just run all streaks down the middle of the field?
Second down and a yard. 57 seconds. Sims at the last second spots Scadaboo over the middle, and a first down catch up to the 22. Golday and Dingle in on the stop.
Rush up on the ball. 3-man rush putting some pressure on Sims, though, with 5 offensive linemen.
Sims will not spike it. Instead, he'll take a shot toward the end zone, and that was all bottled up. Nowhere to work for the receiver that time. So he was looking for O'Meara.
Yeah, and there was three Bearcats all circling around him. So no shot at real success, not a clean shot at the football. Another opportunity here for ASU. Let's see if they can get some yardage. I do like the fact that they took that shot, try and give them a little bit of time, but the more missed opportunities, the harder it gets.
Kyson Brown flanks Sims to his right. 2nd down and 10. Sims will zip it over the middle, and that one went whiffling by the head of the tight end, Mateer. Did not even get his head turned around. He had some extra juice on it.
Well, I don't know if that was going to Mateer or if it was going to Jake Smith in the end zone. They were both in the same line, and it looked like Smith was trying to catch it. Then Mateer kind of jumped up, let's see another play at this. Sims looking in that direction, ball fires, and yeah, I think you're right. I think it got grazed. I think it was going for Smith.
3rd down and 10. Phillips in the pursuit. Long throw across the field, incomplete. Good job that time by Canteen with the coverage, and one final crack at it. Arizona State will send out the field goal unit. They need 2 scores, so obviously you take the 3 here, hope for an onside kick, and Ian Hershey with a 2nd crack at it. This one a little bit easier. We saw him miss badly from 48. This one from the near hash, 41 yards. Hershey 7 of 11 this season. Floyd the hold, and the wobbler and the knuckler nowhere close.
2nd kick, and you have to be, frustrated if you're the head coach. Trying to put your team in a position to score. You need 10 points. Obviously, a field goal helps tie that up. And 0 for 2 on the day from 48 and 41. We take another look at Dillingham, and I'm not going to say what he said, but if you have any lip sync reading skills, you can figure out what he said. And frustration boiling over for the Sun Devil squad. As you came in here, had a hot start, first drive of the game, everything in front of you, and then the game unfolds, and you don't get those opportunities.
A knee from Sorsby, and a homecoming win for Scott Satterfield and Cincinnati. A sellout, a wall of red. 2 programs on the rise in this Big 12. The respect with these 2 coaches, and today it is Cincinnati's day. 24-14, the Bearcats remain a game back in the hunt for a Big 12 championship.
And